Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely epic, continent-spanning journey of one man's search for ultimate meaning. We're going to be looking at how the shocks and tests of life, those moments that can feel totally overwhelming, are actually designed to spark our awakening. It's a really profound look into the life of a historical figure named Salman Al-Farsi, and how his relentless pursuit of the truth didn't just change his own destiny, but literally altered the course of a major civilization. Okay, let's kick things off by asking ourselves a pretty heavy fundamental question. What would you actually be willing to give up? I'm talking your family, your wealth, maybe even your freedom, just to find the absolute unvarnished truth. Honestly, most of us are pretty comfortable with the beliefs and traditions we're born into. But for someone whose heart is sincerely searching, well, the source text really emphasizes that tests and trials are put in our way not to make us fail, but out of mercy to really force us to think deeply. And honestly, nobody illustrates this better than Salman.
Section 1. The Quest for Truth, Escaping the Eternal Flame. Let's get into it.
So our story starts in Isfahan, Persia. Salman was the beloved son of a very high-status family. He was so incredibly devoted to the dominant religion of Zoroastrianism that he was actually appointed as the custodian of the eternal flame. But then a really profound logical realization hit him. He saw the sheer irrationality in worshiping a fire that couldn't even sustain itself without his constant human maintenance. I mean, he literally had to keep feeding it to keep his god alive. One day, while traveling to his father's estate, he passed by an early Christian church. He observed them praying to a self-sustaining creator, and immediately it just clicked. He recognized a much higher logic. But when he brought this realization back home, his father didn't just casually disagree with him. No, he literally locked his beloved son in iron fetters. And this was Salman's first massive test. Was he going to compromise his truth just to appease his family?
Moving on to Section 2. A Journey of Trials, Spanning Continents for Faith.
Unwilling to just yield to his family's pressure, Salman actually managed to sneak a message out to the Christians, asking them to alert him the second a caravan from Syria arrived. He broke out of his iron fetters, left all of his wealth and status behind, and just set out into the absolute unknown. And guys, this wasn't just some quick weekend trip. This was a grueling, lifelong migration, completely fueled by his thirst for knowledge. First up, in Syria, he faced a huge trial right off the bat. The bishop he was serving turned out to be totally corrupt, literally stealing charity money. Now, a lot of people would have just abandoned religion altogether right there, out of pure cynicism. But Salman? He understood this was a flaw in the man, not the faith itself. So he pushed forward, moving on to study under deeply pious leaders in Mosul and Nisibin. He then traveled all the way to Amoria in Byzantium, working as a herdsman. But then, out of nowhere, absolute tragedy struck. While trying to hitch a ride to Arabia with a caravan, he was brutally betrayed at Wadi al-Qura, robbed of his cattle, and actually sold into slavery. Eventually, he was purchased by a man living in a volcanic, incredibly fertile land known as Medina.
Which brings us to Section 3. Recognizing the 3 signs, the final prophecy.
Okay, so to understand why Salman was even heading to Arabia in the first place, we gotta look back to his time in Amuria. Right before his final mentor there passed away, he told Salman a secret. He said the time of true monks had basically passed, but a new prophet, one following the pure creed of Abraham, was about to appear in a land filled with palm trees. And he gave Salman 3 very specific criteria to identify him. Number 1, he does not eat of charity. Number 2, he accepts gifts. And number 3, he possesses a physical seal of prophethood between his shoulders. Salman kept these 3 signs completely etched in his mind, carrying them through all the unimaginable humiliation of being enslaved in Medina. Then, one day, while he was literally working up at the top of a palm tree, he felt this massive wave of anticipation. He overheard that a man claiming to be a prophet had just arrived in a nearby area called Kuba. So here is where it gets absolutely incredible. Notice how methodically Salman tests these signs. He didn't just jump in blindly. First, he brought the Prophet Muhammad some food, specifically offering it as charity. The Prophet told his companions to go ahead and eat, but he himself completely abstained. Boom, first sign, check. The very next day, Salman brought more food, but this time he offered it as a gift. And this time, the Prophet ate with them. Second sign, check. Finally, Salman was walking behind him, actively looking for that physical mark. The Prophet, sensing exactly what Salman was trying to do, simply lowered his garment, and there it was, the exact textual realization of the final prophecy right in front of him. Overcome by a literal lifetime of searching, Salman staggered forward, weeping, and fully embraced Islam.
Section 4. The Price of Freedom, The manumission contract. Now, even though Salman had finally found the ultimate truth he was looking for, legally he was still a slave, and this actually prevented him from participating in the early defense of the community at places like Badr and Uhud. The Prophet advised him to write a manumission contract to officially purchase his freedom. This is key because it shows a deep commitment to fulfilling legal obligations rather than just resorting to violence or theft against his master. But of course, his master demanded an absolutely staggering ransom. We're talking 40 uqiyah of gold, which, to put that into perspective, is roughly equivalent to tens of thousands of dollars today, plus the intense, back-breaking agricultural labor of planting 300 date palms and making sure every single one of them survived. For a slave who literally owned nothing, this was an astronomical, seemingly impossible price. Faced with this massive hurdle, the Prophet Muhammad issued a really simple but incredibly powerful command to his companions. He just said, "Help your brother." And they immediately jumped into action, pooling their wealth and their physical labor. One guy gave 30 trees, another gave 20, someone else gave 10. Salman dug the holes, and the Prophet actually planted the trees with his very own hands. And incredibly, against all odds, not a single tree died. But they still owed the gold. Sometime later, an egg-sized piece of gold was brought to the Prophet from a campaign, and he immediately gave it to Salman. When they weighed it, miraculously, it amounted to exactly 40 uqiyas, not a fraction more or less. Salman was finally, truly a free man. Now, this amazing community effort to free Salman wasn't just some rare, one-off event. It actually reflects a much broader policy outlined in the source material. The Islamic State systematically utilized the state treasury to actively buy the freedom of slaves. Furthermore, freeing a slave actually became the standard legal expiation, basically the penalty, for a whole host of common sins. We're talking things like breaking oaths, accidental killings, or even invalidating the fast of Ramadan. So the entire legal framework was literally designed to systematically dismantle slavery and buy people their freedom over time. All right, Section 5, Innovation and Brotherhood, Persian Tactics in Arabia. So once he was free, Salman, who remember was a Persian outsider, was embraced completely as a brother by the Arabs. No racism, no exclusion. The Prophet actually famously said that people are like mines containing different minerals, basically meaning that everyone brings their own unique, precious strengths to the table. And this beautifully illustrates how diversity literally saved their entire community. See, when a massive, overwhelming coalition army showed up to completely annihilate Medina, traditional Arab warfare would have just relied on open combat or light skirmishes. But Salman brought his Persian engineering background into the mix. He proposed a tactic that was utterly unheard of in Arabia at the time, digging a massive, impassable defensive trench known as Al-Khandaq. This brilliant move completely neutralized the enemy cavalry and saved the entire city. Oh, and he later introduced the catapult to the Arab armies as well. It just goes to prove that a society truly thrives when it actively embraces the diverse skills and backgrounds of all its people. Section 6. Balancing the Worldly Life. Rights of the Soul and Family. But here's the thing. Salman wasn't just a brilliant military tactician. He was also deeply, profoundly wise in how to navigate the worldly life, what is known as the dunya. There's this really beautiful anecdote where Salman went to visit his bonded brother, Abu ad-Darda. And he noticed that Abu ad-Darda was completely neglecting his worldly life. He was fasting every single day and praying all through the night, barely sleeping. Salman actually made him break his fast, to sit and eat with him, forced him to get some sleep during the night, and then taught him a super vital equation for balance. He said, "Your Lord has a right on you, your soul has a right on you, and your family has a right on you." When the Prophet heard about this exchange, he explicitly validated it, stating, "Salman has spoken the truth." It's such a timeless, necessary reminder against extremism, even when it comes to worship. Balance is absolutely key. As we wrap up this explainer, let's circle back to the absolute core lesson of Salman's life. I mean, think about it. He traveled across continents, endured iron fetters, dealt with corrupt leaders, and even suffered through the horrors of slavery, all because he flat out refused to stop asking questions. The source material reminds us that the shocks, the trials, and the tests we face today are ultimately a mercy. They're designed to wake us up, shake us out of our comfort zones, and make us really think. So I want to leave you with this question to ponder today. When modern trials shake your world, are you going to let them drive you to despair, or will they push you to seek the ultimate truth? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I will catch you in the next explainer.